welcome back to my channel. I'm Erica, and this is going to be a little bit of a fun video. I'm really excited about this one. So quite a few years ago, when I was 10 years old, I know that I have mentioned that my childhood was not good, with parents that were not good. But all of my extended family is amazing, and I don't know what happened, but my uncle got married and I was 10 years old, and he and my aunt now asked me to be their bridesmaid. And I remember being so like, there's really no words for how excited little 10-year-old Erica was for that moment. I would have told you for years that that particular uncle was my favorite uncle. He just was the fun uncle. I had met a couple of his girlfriends before, but this one, when he brought her and I remember meeting her for the first time, like I fell in love with her. Like, she was just so bubbly and sweet, and just, they were so fun to watch together. And they were so night and day different from what I was witnessing at home with my own parents, that it drew me in. And anyway, so when they asked me to, it was at Christmas. We were up at my grandmother's for Christmas, and my uncle brought his girlfriend in, and they said they had a big question, surprise. I forget exactly how they worded it, but they asked me to be their bridesmaid and my younger sister to be their flower girl. And I will never forget. I just remember being so excited that I didn't even know how to handle it. They ended up getting married around Christmas time. I believe it was of the next year. No. So I wasn't 10 when they asked. I had to have been 9 when they asked. I was 10 when they got married. So anyway, I'm going to correct that just in case anybody I know sees this and is like, that timeline's wrong. Anyway, and so I'll never forget, like, I remember going and, you know, these good memories from childhood, when you don't have a good one, they stick out. I'll never forget the process leading up to the wedding. I remember we went to this lady's house because she was going to be making mine and my sister's dresses, which were to match, and they were going to have a December wedding, so it was very Christmas colored and everything. And I remember going to her house so that the lady could measure us, and it was so exciting. And my aunt picked out the fabric, and anyway, long story short, I have the best the best pictures of me and my sister from that day, where I remember when she threw the bouquet, we were both just like, there's a picture of the two of us just like, and it was such a special moment. And all these years later, I still have my bridesmaid dress, and my daughter played dress up in it for a few years, and then she outgrew it, because remember, I was 10 when they got married. So I have been sitting with my bridesmaid dress from when I was 10 years old, from my aunt and uncle's wedding. If I can find the picture of me in this dress as a 10-year-old, I will put it in. But it's just, the fabric, I've just always loved it. And the way they did it is, we had a gold ribbon bow sash. My sister was the flower girl, so she had a gold basket with the petals. I forget what I was holding. I think I had some sort of flower or bow or something. But the belt was gold ribbon. And this fabric, y'all, like, I have held on to this dress for so long. I let my daughter play in it till, like I said, till she outgrew it. And I have been sitting on this dress for so long, trying to figure out a way, what I want to make with it, to, as a keepsake, that is something that I would actually use. And I also really would like to make something for my aunt and uncle out of it as well. If there's enough fabric here that I could make a pretty decent something. And like there's the hem itself is, I mean, that looks like a 3-inch hem to me. Hold on. Maybe a 2.5-inch hem. 2.5-inch hem. I wasn't far off. And so the stitches are, you know, this is the hem, so you can see it's already coming apart there. There's a big hole in the front layer of the fabric, but there's still the lining of the bodice, which is the same fabric. But yeah, I don't know if it'll show. There's a big hole there. Anyway, I can use a lot of fabric out of this. So I've been thinking on it for several years now. Years, guys. That's how my life goes. Years. But my idea is to make a whole bunch of fabric flowers out of this so that I can make some bouquets. And I'm going to make one for myself and one for them. Let me get to disassembling the dress and we'll see what's next. As I showed, I have the dress completely taken apart and I have done some testing. So I had a scrap piece of a sheet that I used for a mock-up for another project and tested out the fusible webbing that I have, and it worked great. This is just a hand-drawn heart that I did for testing purposes. The problem where it came to actually execution is that the fabric for the dress is extremely, you know, thin. I don't even know. I mean, it's got to be polyester, but, and this is a little bit thicker cotton sheet, so it wasn't exactly the same. And so I did some testing, and I have some gold thread that I wanted to use for the petals for some of these flowers, and I thought it would work in my sewing machine doing a zigzag stitch. It just doesn't. I got, well, let me show you. And the petal, but there is a dart here that comes together, and you can use a zigzag stitch to sew it together. And you can see I got this one to do okay, and then the second one a little less okay. And you can see in the back there's a honking knot there. And then that was it. That's all I got. It just knotted and tore after that and completely got caught up in the bobbin. So it was just not going to go through the machine. I put regular thread back in the machine just to make sure it wasn't some other issue that and I'd messed with the tension. It just wasn't going to go through. So I switched to a goldish yellow thread. This is the same thread I used for my Belle costume. And while it worked for sewing the costume, I just don't really care for it on this. So last attempt was a very deep red thread that I like much better. So, and then I tried zigzag stitches around the edges of a couple of petals with that same yellow thread, and I really don't like it at all, at all, at all. I had to end up putting stabilizer in there, and you can see it on the back when I tore it out. I didn't like it at all. So I bought this mega glitter something Mod Podge back when I did my daughter's Anastasia costume, and this worked really well on her costume, so I thought I'd give it a try. So I don't know if you could see in my petals that I was putting up, but it worked along the edges as well as making sure they're not going to fray. So it sealed the edges and gave it a little sparkle without being like in your face like that stitching around the petal. So you can, I don't know, I just think it looks so much better. So the poinsettia has 10 petals, and I'm just doing it. This is my test one at the moment. So there's a circle that goes at the bottom, and this is what all the petals are going to be attached to. I did not do the gold Mod Podge, however I did do fray check around the edges. I'm probably going to change that on the next one. So right now I'm waiting for the fray check to dry because I did the Mod Podge late last night, but I forgot that part. So the next thing I'm going to figure out is how I want to attach the petals to that circle. I've got a couple of different glue options here. Okay, overall, the first flower is a win. It looks like a poinsettia. I absolutely love it. It's beautiful. I ended up took a tiny little scrap from like the shoulder bit of the pieces that I used and stuffed it, made it into a circle and stuffed it with a tiny bit of polyfill, just enough to put and then I sewed it down to the center, just to give a little bit of 3D-ness to where I glued down all of these beads for the center. Not, I wasn't going for there being a poofy center. I just needed something other than a flat dip for these beads. I love the way these beads turned out. The fact that they're not, all identical. The fact that, some are more gem-like, some are more bulb-like. They're all gold. I have plenty of them. There's a whole container full of these, those being the gold, obviously. So I'm probably going to keep using those for part of it. What I'm trying to figure out right now is, before I make any more, the only tube of E6000 I have is this massive tube, and it gooped out the glue faster than I could handle it because I don't have a nozzle. So I've got some glue up here. This one's going to be my flower. I'm going to make better ones. And then, but I am definitely going to keep this one. And another thing that I wanted to change is I feel like, I know poinsettias are big, so it's not that's necessarily the problem, but I feel like the back petals should be slightly larger. So I'm going to go make some larger ones and make a flower with larger on the back and smaller on the front and see how I like that. Also, I wanted leaves, so I ran to the store and I grabbed a half a yard of deep green satin, and I have hand sketched out a leaf as my pattern piece, and I'm going to do the exact same thing that I'm doing with the fusible webbing for the leaves. Also putting gold on the edges. I love how that looks. Like it's so subtle, but there, but yeah, I love it. So win-win all around for a first flower. Hopefully I can make some tracks today. I pulled all this out and it has been all over my sewing table for literally a week at this point. But my husband got sick and I've barely been able to come in here, and honestly I even started this project because I've barely been able to like process sewing or working with any type of patterns right now, just because we are nearing the end of summer break and there's a lot going on right now. And so this was supposed to be my smaller project and it's turned into a bigger project. However, bigger isn't bad. This is fun. I'm enjoying this and I'm very, very, very excited how that looks. So, and this isn't even what, you know, I'm hoping that they will look like in the end. Like, I want them to look better. So, that's what I've been working on. And yeah, let's start cutting out some more petals and see how far I can get today. Okay, gotta love my little setup here for the leaves to dry with the Mod Podge. So I have my whole stack of leaves. I used all of the fabric, and I'm just going to continue doing this and slowly and surely, because honestly 6 at a time is all I can do before I start seeing double, I feel like, because it's just painting the edges. So I'm going to slowly work through this pile, let 6 dry, and then go back and do 6 more. But that is progress. I'm really happy with that. Okay, I am waiting for the glue to officially dry all the way before I do any type of center, but I do like it better. I don't feel like there's a humongous difference based off of where I put the back petals, but I feel like there's playroom, but I do like it better. That being said, I have options because, I mean, both of them turned out great. So I'm just going to probably start ironing the webbing in between the layers of fabric at this point, and then just start cutting. And I'll probably try to do about an even number of large to small petals, making sure that I have plenty of centers for, you know, it'll be 10 petals per flower. So for every 10 petals that I'm able to get, do a circle center. And yeah, for now I'm just going to go cut a whole lot of petals, starting with, you know, pressing the fusible webbing onto it. And I want to get that done because once the kids go to bed tonight, my husband is having a movie night. He's finally feeling better, and with a friend, and I want to watch some of the Olympics. So I'm going to get the fusible webbing on and my marking, and then spend the entire evening watching Olympics and cutting out petals. Okay, I tried to show it a little bit with the camera a second ago, but I finally got all the flowers glued. And I have distributed leaves based off of what I'm thinking. So there ended up being just 3, where there's only 2 rows of petals. The rest of them, there's 3 rows of petals on each flower. I could have done 25 flowers. I think that's what I had enough to make, but even for 2 bouquets, these are huge, and like, there's my hand. I didn't need 25. So I think this makes it so that there's 9 flowers per bouquet, which is going to be just fine. So recently I was at the thrift store looking specifically for storage options for my kids' toys, and I found a chest. And inside the chest, when I got it home, there was this bunch of Christmas flowers that someone had left, which meant you can see they're already dropping glitter. I had to extremely clean out the chest because I didn't want glitter all over the toys, but this is going to work out very nicely because I only had one of these, and I thought for a little bit this was what I was going to use, but I think it's going to be these. I'm just going to make sure that the ones that are broken are not used, and I'm cutting them off with little pliers into these little clusters. And rather than use the beads like I had originally pulled out, I think I'm going to go with these because I have them. They came. I'm weighing them down, but I like that better. I like that a lot better in the middle of the flower. So this is one of the flowers I glued the other day. This glue requires like 24 hours to set, so this isn't going to be super quick. But yeah, I'm going to let this, those little weights hold that down. And then the other thing I'm working on is, this was the very first flower I did that has the actual beads in the middle. And I've wrapped a stem in floral tape, and then I've used my glue and a half circle from my leftover circles to glue it in, and then I'm letting it sit. Obviously the weights are here to hold the edges down, and then this clip is holding the fabric to the stem. And I'm not gonna, for one, I can't do any more right now anyway, because these all have to sit for 24 hours to let the glue set. So this is just going to be my setup for the next couple of days as I get this done. So now this one's going to have to sit for 24 hours, and this has to sit for 24 hours. But the next thing I'm going to check, and I'm glad I already had 2 that were already made, because this gives me the ability to just go ahead and do a couple of tests while I'm waiting for the rest of the clusters. I want to make sure that this is sturdy and the flower is going to stay. I'm not 100% sure how to get it on otherwise, but I want to make sure that, once this dries and settles, that the flower is going to stay on the petal, period. Okay, so I finished the first 2, which were my test ones. So this was the very first one I did with the bead, and then this is the first one that I have a leaf on. So what I figured out is I had enough leaves out of the fabric that I used for that to make 2 leaves per flower of all of the larger flowers, and then the 4 flowers that I have that just have the 2 rows of petals, I have enough for 1 leaf for 3 of them, and then 1 will not have a leaf. So what I'm planning on doing is I'm dividing those 4 smaller flowers between the 2 bouquets. 2 will go in my bouquet, and 2 will go in my aunt and uncle's bouquet, and this one will go in their bouquet, and I'm going to keep this one. So they'll have more of the leaves, I guess. And I did decide to go ahead and glue it on. So that's glued on. Those are good and set. One thing that I was going to show a little bit, and then I realized that I went ahead and did all of them. I was going to save my last one and do it on camera, and totally didn't. But to make the stems not brown, I used this floral tape, which if you've never used the floral tape before, it comes off the roll in this darker shade of green, but then you have to pull it out to get it to the sticky part, and then just wrapped it all around the stem. So that's how I did the stems. they're done. I'm so happy. They're so pretty. So this one here is the one I'm going to give to my aunt and uncle. I think it's the prettier vase. And it's perfect. And then this is the one I'm keeping for me. So yeah. I'm so happy I was able to get this much out of it, and this used to be my flower girl dress. That's crazy. Oh, they turned out so pretty. I love them so much. All right, so I'm gonna be making more flowers, more cloth flowers. This is really exciting. I will say I'm gonna have to come up with another method because I'm not doing this again. This worked, the Mod Podge on the edges. That was perfect for this project. It looks amazing. I think the thread would have been fine if I could have gotten it to work, but I didn't get it to work. So must be really, it was in the clearance section at Walmart. So I'm going to say it's probably just really, really cheap cold thread, and I need better thread. But for this project, it was fine, but it took me literal days to do the Mod Podging on all those petals. So probably not going to do that again. But it looks so good. I'm so happy with it. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Their 30th anniversary is this December, and I am so excited. I'm going to be probably won't see them until then, or around then. So yeah, this is technically going to be a happy 30th. I'm so excited. So anyway, I hope you had fun with me with this crazy weird project that's literally different than anything I've done. I think I've done a few of these like crazy weird projects that are very, very different than anything I've done, and I'm kind of liking them. They're a lot of fun. So I just don't usually film them, but I really wanted to film this one, and I think I'm still gonna work with this a little bit for laying how I want it. But anyway, yeah, we've got quite the epic amount of gold sparkles all over my cutting table now, so I've got to go figure out how to get all the sparkles out and clean up. But anyway, yeah, this was a nice, fun little project while I still have kids home for the summer, and get me a little excited for Christmas. I don't typically do anything Christmas this early in the year, but you know, hey, I wanted to make sure that this got done. And it's not, I mean, it's not technically a Christmas project. She just had my aunt and uncle just had a Christmas wedding, and it's Christmas. It is technically Christmas, I get it, but I wasn't trying to do it for Christmas. Anyway, so I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love for you to stick around for the next video. Not sure what it's going to be. Still trying to work with kids home, and it's it's crazy. But I will do what I can. I'd love for you to subscribe, and yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all the stuff. I think I've said that a couple of times, but it really does help, and I really would like this channel to grow a little bit. And yeah, I'd love for you to stick around for the next one. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next one.